Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Thain. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a film called Matt's Chance from 2013, which I'd never heard about, but it was a film starring Edward Furlong. I guess you could say maybe this was Edward's attempt to make a comeback. Obviously, it didn't work because I don't know of a single other person that has ever heard of this damn movie. And this came out, 10 years ago. But yeah, Edward Furlong stars. You also have Gary Busey in a small role. Margot Kidder in a small role. There's a lot of jokes to make about that. You have these three people who obviously dealt with a lot of issues. And, the mean way to say a lot of burnouts. It is, okay, the film itself, Edward Furlong's this guy who's talking to this other guy at a bar. He's telling the story about this girl that he met, and he madly fell in love with her, and then he talks about how he hates this story. And the guy's like, well, why? How come you hate it? And then it's kind of told in like three structures. The very beginning and very end is this one structure at the bar. And it's him telling this guy the story where he's at a barber shop. And then he's telling the story to a barber, played by Lee Majors, from the $6 Million Man. So it's like, that's a flashback. Then we have other flashbacks to what happened leading up to that. Where he met this girl, fell in love, she works at a bank. They seem to be doing well. She's pregnant with his kid. Here's an engagement ring. She says yes. Then one day she sees her laughing up with this bald guy who is the manager at her bank, her boss. And he imagines punching the shit out of him, all this stuff, but he's like, hey, how's it going? And I think he played it off a lot better than you would assume. So, it's his birthday. She's not going to be there for his birthday. Okay, he's a bit upset with that, but not too over the top. He comes home, finds that his wife is cheating. Well, his fiancée is cheating on him. So then he tries to fight with the guy. The guy, since he's the manager of the bank, takes all of his money. So he has no money. His pregnant fiancée is cheating on him and wants nothing to do with him. So now he's trying to figure out what to do next. And so the rest of the film is kind of him kind of stumbling into these weird, kooky characters. You have this pawn shop owner, played by Gary Busey. You have this Eastern European guy who's with the mob. Margot Kidder plays this old stripper that, no, thankfully we don't see any nudity, but she's an old stripper that is working for the mob guy. And from time to time we'll cut back to Edward Furlong talking with his barber, played by Lee Majors. Now it keeps coming back to this, and you think, okay, something's up with this. There's going to be some kind of thing that happens with this barber. Number one, because you cast Lee Majors, who, for me, is a recognizable guy. Number two, they make this barber shop such an important function and location. There's something to it. I didn't guess what it was, and you'll know why in a few minutes. But the movie, you tell, is done in a rather cheap way. There's very few locations. Like when he's looking at Margot Kidder, the stripper, the background's pretty bare. Could be shot in any warehouse, anything. Just put a few colors up. Edward Furlong, Here's the thing with the guy. You have two cases of people. One who remember him for Terminator 2 and maybe even Pet Sematary 2, and people who don't know him. The people who don't know him, they don't see a guy who seems a bit puffy, bit of a burnout, although I think at this time he was clean and sober. And they don't look as, okay, what's wrong with this guy? Because of years of drug abuse affected him. The other side, I guess if you're a diehard Edward Furlong fan, which I don't know how many of those people there are, I don't know if there's a big fan base, then hey, I liked you in Terminator 2. I don't mind Edward Furlong. I didn't mind him in Brain Stand, Pet Sematary 2, Terminator 2. But it's just like each time you see him, you just see what he's been through. And I can't help it. I know it's not fair. But each time I see him, I just feel a bit of sadness. Because you just see the battle scars of abuse are worn on his face. Not literal scars, but I mean like you could tell he's been through stuff. And I know that may seem harsh, that may seem unfair, but I'm just being honest. And so it's a bit hard to not just to see that, but also to buy into this girl hooking up with this guy. And Edward Furlong, he's okay, but he was never the best actor. I do think he was better as a kid. Does that kind of awkwardness work well with John Connor or I did Brain Stand? Maybe not as much as an adult. I guess he's just one of those guys that I do think was a better kid actor than adult actor. Great, he's a better adult actor than Alex Vincent, who was, Andy Barkley in Child's Play. That they brought him back for this new stuff. I don't know if Alex Vincent is much healthier looking because he didn't go through what Edward Furlong did. So there's the part of me that's rooting for him because I hope he's doing good. I hope he's doing better. And I'm rooting for him to... But at the same time, I can't say, oh my god, this is a comeback performance for him. Whether you want to chalk it up to the material or the low budget structure of the look of the film, take that for what you will. But yeah, the first chunk of the film is kind of this love story. Then it's him finding out what happened and trying to figure out what to do. And again, just him following these kooky characters. It was kind of cool to see Gary Busey, but that's another guy, you watch him in this and you can really see how out of it Gary Busey is. Even when he's saying funny lines like, "You're as transparent as a dead scorpion." I don't know what the fuck that means, but I thought that was a pretty funny line. I thought it was very ironic that he called Edward Furlong a fucking crackhead. Because this whole scene is him having nothing to his name. He has the one guy's wallet who's trying to sell it. No, I'm not going to buy it because, listen, are you on crack or something? You stole this, right? Fine, how about this? I'll buy your coat. But again, just the fact that Gary Busey calling Edward Furlong a crackhead, something about that just, I laughed, even though it's not meant to be funny, but just like the whole sheer hubris of it, is like the pot calling the kettle black, but at the same time you're calling Edward Furlong that with his past troubles. Just something about that just struck me. Probably not as much as it was supposed to. And trying Gary Busey, it reminded me a little bit of a show I did like, I'm with Busey, which was I think ultimately a fictional show, but it was a guy who's a fan who's hanging out with Gary Busey. They're doing all these little misadventures. That was a fun show, I'm with Busey. Staged or what, it was still fun. And Gary Busey would say these weird things. They go, what the fuck is he talking about? You can kind of see a little bit of that. Like, you're not done. You're just beginning again. Again, that whole line, "You're as transparent as a dead scorpion." It's like, what the fuck does that mean? But you also have Gary Busey arguing with this mob guy, who ultimately overhears Edward Furlong's plight. "Hey, come with me." Offers him a job to entertain these kids in a bunny outfit, which he does, but he takes these pills, and then the wrong pills. I don't know if it was Viagra or whatever the hell it was. So there's a scene where he's in the bunny suit and he's jacking off. And then he's getting a lot of toilet paper to clean himself. I need to see that. Bunch of fucking furry porn. But he's entertaining the kids. He's successful. He gets paid. They go off to a club. The two are kind of bonding with each other. They're arguing about which is better, Jurassic Park or E.T. The guy's like, "Hey, you need a woman." And you get the idea this guy likes people who look like men, so he has a guy dressed up in drag at the bartender. Even Margot Kidder says the line, "Listen, the reason I'm hired is because he keeps me here because I look enough like a man that gets his rocks off." The fact that Margot Kidder was able to kind of make fun of herself in that way is pretty commendable and came off as a funny line. But it's just one of those, it just felt sadness, because I know that Margot Kidder went through a lot of stuff. I know that Gary Busey has gone through a lot of stuff, and now I know he was accused of doing stuff, but I think that guy's mind is so fucking cracked and frazzled that that's why he should not be in public. You need to get a handler on him, keep away from public, because he's not in his right mind, and you need to do that. And then you just see these guys or actors and actresses that at one point had such hope for their careers. Margot Kidder, Lois Lane, Superman, Gary Busey got an Oscar nomination for, what was it, the Buddy Holly story? And Lethal Weapon and Predator 2, and he was in Point Break, Drop Zone. And Edward Furlong, he's in Terminator 2, the biggest action movie at the time. And just how all through them, either because of personal issues, because of accidents, because of drug issues, how they just swindled it all away. That was sadly what I got out of this, was that sense of sadness, of wasted potential and all that jazz, man. Just the rest of the film, it's not that funny of a movie. There's I mentioned a couple lines I liked, as in one hand. You tell it's not that big of a budget of a movie. You're kind of wondering where this is all going. It's on Tubi for free if people really want to watch it. You tell it was made on the cheap. Like I said, when he talked with Margot Kidder for 5-6 minutes, it's a very blasé backdrop, nothing behind them. And the conversation leads into second chances and forgiveness and things of that nature. Spoilers. Edward Furlong gets back in the club with that Eastern European guy, and the asshole manager happens to be there. So the Eastern European sticks up for Edward Furlong. "You'd like to fuck mothers, huh? Huh? This guy with his kid?" And then the guy drops the bombshell that the girl aborted Edward Furlong's baby. So, of course, Edward Furlong gets pissed. The guy gets his guards, his bodyguards, his crew to hold the guy so Edward Furlong can punch the shit out of him a couple times. Edward Furlong doesn't really know what to do, so he goes to see his buddy, which I don't know why they had to incorporate this character in it. His buddy is a priest who's rapping, and we first see him shitting on the toilet. He's on the toilet, shitting. You hear it all, and he's rapping. Straight a white rapper on the trapper. What the fuck? And then lo and behold, this manager was so smart. He's like, yeah, fine, you keep the wallet. I got. But he was so dumb to forget that apparently there's a vault code in the wallet. Shows it to his buddy, shows it to the East European. They go to rob the place, but something goes wrong. There's a shootout. Edward Furlong and his buddy go in. Super spoilers, I don't give a fuck. The manager's been killed. Eastern European guy thinks Edward Furlong fucked him. Edward Furlong steps in front of the woman because he's still in love with her. He gets shot and killed. She shoots the Eastern European guy. European guy shoots her, so all of them get killed except Edward Furlong's buddy who runs off. And you're going, wait a minute, get killed? Yeah. Because apparently the big twist is Edward Furlong kept talking to Lee Majors in this barbershop that this session must have lasted for who knows how long. Because Lee Majors is an angel. That's why he's all dressed in white. That's why throughout the film he's so adamant of no cursing. And wings erupt behind Lee Majors. He's like, I got the judgment, it says eternal damnation, but we've been talking. We need someone to be a hitman for us. Because there's a lot of sinners, and we thought of what you said, that she should not be around. We think you're right. We want you to take her out. Okay, he'll eventually take her out, but he's going to go down the list of all these sinners, adulterers, cheaters, bad people, whoever Furlong is supposed to kill, and he's going to save that girl last on his list, and he's going to work with his buddy to be a fucking hitman for heaven. In fact, that could be the better title, Hitman for Heaven. Number one, this comes so fucking out of the blue. I'm sitting there going, what? I gotta admit, I didn't see that coming. It was so fucking out of the blue. It would be like if Clerks ended with finding out Rando was a fucking werewolf. And he turned to a werewolf and started killing Dante. Or if The Big Lebowski ended with all of a sudden cataclysm, the apocalypse happens, and the devil appears, and John Goodman goes, "This is what you do when you fucking stranger in the ass, devil," and starts complaining to the devil about Vietnam. It just comes so out of the blue. You go, what the fuck? Like, where did this come from? And then there's a part of me that goes, this was more interesting of a story than what we saw. Edward Furlong is a hitman for heaven? Lee Majors as his angel, like, giving orders? Why the fuck didn't we start with that? And what's that movie? Like, that could be the more interesting movie than this guy being a depressed sad sack about this girl that cheated on him and then aborted his baby, and he sees a couple kooky characters and his buddy shitting on the toilet as a priest and cheap ass, you have this twist that comes out of nowhere, does a 180, what the fuck? And like, that would have been the better movie. That would have been the better film. And that's how it started off. I guess that's what the chance is, a Matt's chance. Yeah, me, Matt. My chance. This is my chance. I'll be a hitman for heaven. I'll take that job. I guess if you want to see Edward Furlong and small performances by Gary Busey and Margot Kidder, I guess it depends how much of an Edward Furlong fan you are. I didn't mind him. Again, when I see him now, it's just sad. If you're a diehard Edward Furlong fan, sure, go. I know I gave the whole movie away, but I did say spoilers. As soon as I said Edward Furlong movie, you go, okay, I'll see it for free on Tubi or not. It's just, I get why it's like a 5.3 on IMDb. It's just very meandering. Production values are rather cheap. I did not much for locations or backdrops. Eric Furlong's acting is kind of iffy from scene to scene. Trying to force humor with getting priests on the toilet or jacking off in a bunny suit. I didn't really care for it. Wasn't for me. As I just saw a bunch of burnt out people that I felt sad for and wish they could have done a lot better in their lives. And a finale that I'm sitting there going, why the fuck didn't the movie start off with this? Like, you leave the movie with the most interesting part, and then the movie's over, you go, what the fuck? That's just me, though. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.